I want to talk about a couple things today. As most of you know, I graduated from Texas Tech and had the pleasure of watching and being there for Texas Tech football in the early 2000s in Mike Leach's heyday. Most Red Raiders became huge Mike Leach fans back then because, frankly, he put us on the map in the football world. Certainly had a lot of success. And Mike Leach was a lot of things to college football, very influential. I think if you were to watch most football today, whether professional, college, high school, you see the influence of Mike Leach's offensive schemes in most games. Now, Mike Leach was also a historian, and I've certainly talked about using history as our guide as investors in building successful financial plans. And certainly that's what he did in football. So he would study wars, he would study pirates, he would study a number of things to really draw and build game plans and offensive schemes, and obviously probably not defensive schemes, as his defenses weren't ever very good. But he would look at history and really help set that as his guide for how he built those plans. And I think we should do the same as investors, and certainly we've talked a lot about it. We can look at history of bear markets and how often they occur and how deep they might go and how quick they turn around. We can look at history of recessions and what's caused them and what was successful. And really we draw this conclusion that our emotions are our enemy in these bear markets, in these recessions, that fear we experience certainly is our enemy. And we've got to avoid acting on that. Now, sometimes fear is a good thing. Sometimes questioning things are a good thing. I'll get into FTX here in just a moment. But oftentimes it leads us to bad decision making. And so that's why we diversify. That's why we focus on the fact that bear markets tend to eventually recover. And you get harmed when you panic in the middle of the cycle. That, if you had history, if you had 20/20 vision on when those bear markets were to occur, when you can buy in and when you can get out, certainly it would make it a lot easier, but we don't. But we do have history. And so we try and use that as we guide and we build the investment and the policy statements and financial plans. I mentioned I would talk about FTX. So the news on FTX, I think most people know. Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested yesterday. SEC and other federal investigation arms are charging FTX and him with all kinds of fraud. And as it turns out, it's probably exactly what it was. The most expensive, the most elaborate, and the most giant fraudulent scheme that we've seen, certainly. And they're saying it's even larger than Enron, which is unbelievable. And I could go into the politics of it all and everything else, and I'm not going to. But here's the thing. When we have recessions and we have bear markets, one positive that comes out of them is often you find out which emperors are wearing no clothes. Which businesses, which companies are, one, fraudulent, or which ones aren't operating, which ones have too much debt, which ones have taken too much risk. And that reveals the inefficiencies and some problem areas in the economy that certainly we can clean up and move forward. And I think every recession has shown. I mean, you look back in 08 and 09, we had Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, the whole mortgage-backed security. All of that revealed a giant emperor with no clothes, and frankly, it almost broke the financial system. With crypto and FTX, certainly it seems to be limited to just those types of assets, cryptocurrency, FTX. So you as a client of Strategic Advisory Services should have nothing to worry about, as we did not participate in certainly anything having to do with FTX or in the crypto world. But it's a reminder. We talked about emotions with history and Mike Leach, and when things are going really well, like things are just bubbling up in that crypto world, you have very intelligent people buying into this idea that if I jump on this bandwagon, I'll get rich quickly. I'll turn $1 million into 10 million super quickly. Use history as your guide on that. How often does that happen? And how often does that happen in such a grand scale? Well, it doesn't. And so we look back at those things, and it's another emotion we have to guard ourselves from, is this idea that everyone, I'm missing out, everyone should, and we should get in because I'm missing out. And you end up in a situation like FTX and others. I think in the crypto space, sadly, there's probably going to be more of this. We just don't realize it. He had a lot of influence. He had a lot of people that followed his ways. And so certainly we hope that's not the case. But it might be. We'll see. But hope everybody has a wonderful and Merry Christmas. We'll try and do another video right before Christmas. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call. 713-977-3800 should also be on the video. Take care.